Today I'm sharing the second video in a series of interviews that I've been conducting with Rachel Virginia Hicks. She was born in 1926 in the Junaluska section of Cherokee County, North Carolina. I'll be sure to link to the first video in the description below in case you missed it. In this portion, Rachel shares some of the drastic changes that she's seen that's took place since the days when she was a young mother walking every evening to get the cows and the world that we're living in today. She tells of a tragedy that shook the area when she was a girl, and also tells how her mother and father met. Especially interesting to me is the theme of family that runs through all of her memories. I also find it really interesting to listen to the language that she uses. I'm plumb foolish about the Appalachian language. I especially like the part where she says that they called her grandmother Lisa, Leaser. That's a very common thing in the mountains of Appalachia, is that you take those names that end in A and you add them, you change them to an ER. So instead of Lisa, it was Leaser. I know you'll enjoy hearing from her as much as I do, and please be sure to check back often for the coming videos in this series.
You might find you a better seat, young your cushion.
She don't
No,
care.
I don't mind at all.
She don't
Be
care.
close to the camera.
So go back to when, what about when you were a little girl? How many siblings did you have?
Well, Mama had 10 children now, but there's a little boy that was next to me. Like I said, we was born down at Boulder Branch, way back up there. Yeah, a little boy, and he was 3 years old. He had this dysentery, they call it, this old valve.
Yeah.
And he's 3 years old. He died. And then Mama had a little girl after that, and she was 8 days old when she died. And then, see, I don't know who come after. McKinley was next. Then was Kinley, Marvin, Jean, John, Cliff, Pee Wee, and Janice, and me. That was
her children.
8,
Yeah.
besides the 2 that died.
Yeah.
10. She had 10 children.
Wow. What did your dad do? Did your mama stay home probably and do what needed to be done?
Of course. They didn't have jobs for women back then.
Yeah.
Mama stayed home.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's few, school teachers.
Right,
That was about the thing.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing that women did was school teachers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Because they didn't have all these other jobs like they got now. It's hard for you to realize it, honey.
I know.
Unless you've grown up with it,
I
you know.
know, yeah, yeah. Did your daddy work in the timber too, or what did he do?
Oh yeah, he cut. Oh yeah, Daddy. That's what he was raised up doing. They cut logs and cut timber, you know.
Yeah.
His daddy. That's what his daddy did. Now his daddy and Mama. You've been over to Junaluska Lake. Over
I have, yeah.
Where they got them houses now. See, that's where my daddy and them was born. When you're going go up from Junaluska and turn off and go down there to go into the lake there, that little bridge across, going on down where the houses are all over. Well, if you notice the road goes up the mountain, that's where my daddy was born and raised. I don't know how old he was before they moved out from over there.
So what was his name?
Avery Gibby.
Avery Gibby, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Grandpa's name was Tom. And his wife's name was Rachel. My daddy's mom and dad.
You remember them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma was about 12 when Grandma died, Daddy's mama. And Grandpa died after I got married. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to know them. Grandpa was Daddy and Grandpa. Now, Daddy had a big family, but Daddy looked more like his father than the other boys did.
Yeah.
There's Thee and Harrison and Wayne was the other boy's name. But Thea and Harrison, they were in the First World War.
Oh, wow.
Daddy's They were the two oldest boys.
Yeah.
Mert Rogers, you might hear tell of Myrtle Rogers.
Yeah.
Mert was their sister. She was the oldest. Yeah.
So did you get to see those grandparents a lot, even though today that's not that far of a distance, but back then if you were riding horses or mules or whatever?
Yeah. Well, we come down, we lived close to Grandma and Grandpa some. That Bolden Ranch, yeah. And then when we moved up we called it up on the head of Junaluska. When the Hoopers, you know, that got killed on Robbinsville Mountain. Did you ever hear tell
I
about?
don't think so, no.
Well, now he was the one that was the boss on the railroad.
Okay.
Brothers Hooper. He was from over around Westford Creek and Fontana somewhere, so now him and his wife both. And they were going over to visit once. He got him a new car, and they had Frank and Vernon and Marie and shucks, I can't remember that youngest girl's name, but the other one was a baby, and his wife. And one of his wife's brothers. They're all going over to visit one Sunday. And you from Andrews, you look up on the Robbinsville Mountain up on the gap.
Yeah, yeah.
That car rolled off that gap, and it killed them all. That didn't kill all of them dead. Now Frank was still alive when they picked him up, they said. And Miss Hooper lived 1 or 2 days afterwards. But the baby, they think, well, there's some CC boys up there that was on fire watch. They had CC boys back then, you know,
right.
Government, they worked for the government, you know. They seen it. And this baby come crawling up that,
Oh my goodness.
and it wouldn't hurt me.
Oh my goodness.
And she's, as far as I know, she used to come on Decoration Day down there to decorate their graves in the cemetery in Andrews, up there on the hill. They're all them graves are together. Broadus and Minnie was her name, and Frank and Vernon and Marie and her brother. It's all buried there. Yeah, in that cemetery up there. Yeah.
Oh, that was heartbreaking. That was sad.
Yeah, and their parents lived out around Proctor, and above where the Fontana Dam is. That's where the water comes down.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about your mother's parents? Where were they at? Were they in that same area too when you was growing up?
No, they lived on. They were from Tusquity. They called it over on Haysville.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom and them were.
Yeah. What was their names?
Well, my grandma's name was Lisa.
Lisa.
We called her Lisa. They called her Lisa, and that's what I had to put on the tombstone was Lisa.
Yeah.
Because everybody called her Lisa. Lisa was the name. She was a Pruitt.
Pruitt. Okay.
Yeah, but Mama was. She married a McClure. His name was Melvin McClure.
Melvin McClure.
Yeah,
okay.
that's my grandpa's name. Mama's daddy's name.
Yeah.
Melvin. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, how did they get from? How did your mama and dad meet? If she grew up on Tusquity.
Well, tell you the truth, people used to go to Tusquity and buy liquor.
Okay.
That was all the work.
Know, yeah.
The work. I mean, they buy liquor, and people had money and go buy it for the pints. You know what I'm saying? Well, Daddy went with this man over there to get some liquor, and he met my mama over there. But then her daddy had bought some property on Junaluska right below where the church is.
Yeah.
That place down through that fierce over there from that. Well, where the church is, and on down through there. He'd give his mama, saved his money. Mama's daddy had before he died, and he'd give her money, and she bought that property, and they had moved over here when Mama's daddy died of stomach cancer. Yeah.
Okay.
So I never get to know him.
Yeah.
Well, this Albert and Elman and Dolly and Inez and Homer was all still home when he died.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Mama's brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Did your mom and daddy raise a big garden, I guess?
They always had to raise a garden.
Yeah.
You know, where we lived. And we used to live way up on College Creek, way back up there when I was a little girl. Daddy had a wood job up there. And, yeah, they always had to raise a garden. You had to have your taters and corn, to have corn to eat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if they had some, they'd raise enough if they could and take it to mill and have their corn ground.
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
You know, they used to have that big old mill right out of Andrews, you know, where you come down that big old wheel over there.
Yeah.
That was a
That was the mill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they call water ground. They crushed the corn.
Yeah.
They didn't grind it. They crushed it.
Yeah.
And it makes the best cornmeal.
Oh.
It's softer
Yeah.
than the corn. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, you let your corn dry on the stalk, you know, and go shuck it out and shell it and take it to the mill. And you had some good cornbread.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever eat crackling bread?
I do. I make crackling cornbread.
You love
yeah.
crackling
I
bread?
like it. Yeah, it's
Do you?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah, that's the way me and my husband raised our family after we moved back home, you know.
Yeah.
We always raised the garden, had my cow, milked my cow, and churned every other day.
Mm.
I told some children when I had that stroke and they took me over to Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me to Chattanooga, no, went over in Tennessee and out to the hospital. They asked me if I could drive a car. I said, no, I can't drive a car, but I can drive a mule. They thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever heard tell them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But they got a kick out of that. Some of them bring some of them younger people that come in there and beat it all. And my nurses was all young men.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that one that was my nurse the first night that I can remember. You know, so I didn't remember at first. But anyhow, it got down to the third. They had a third nurse that was supposed to come on. So these three young men come and they brought the first two, you know, that had been my nurses. They brought him to introduce him to me. Well, they left that night. He didn't come back.
Oh, goodness.
The first one.
Yeah.
He says, I said, how do you say it? He's something other, how he talked that other and then to take, somehow swapped around with him. So he'd be my nurse the last night I saw him. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sweet.
He told his mom and his grandmother about me.
Yeah.
All of them, he thought I was funny.
Yeah.
And I didn't drive a car. I drove a car a little one time or two.
Yeah.
And I got my kids in the car one day and I was going to take them for a ride.
Yeah.
And I put on the brake. No, I didn't get it. We almost said I didn't change the gear right or something. And it bumped, Jacob fell and bumped his head. I got out. I put that car up. I said, nope. So I never tried driving a car no more.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need to.
I didn't
you
want
didn't.
it. I
You
just
didn't
didn't
need
ever.
to.
It didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I said, I can still walk. I have walked from my house to town.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't care really.
Well, back then, that's what most people did. They call it by going by Shanks Mare, that you walked everywhere. People was healthier when they walked everywhere they went.
Lord, I used to go, like I told you where Grandpa lived, you know, back home, we'd take our cow, we used to down on the side of the road, lived on the side of the road, take our cow up there from morning, turn them out up there above where Daddy's brother lived. And they go back in the mountains.
Yeah.
They didn't have pastures, they run all over the mountains eating.
Yeah.
And finding grass, you know, stuff. And go across there, you go across, and you can come down up here, where you get up here to this the bridge, where you get bridge, and then it's a long ways for there's any houses or anything.
Yeah.
And right back across there, by branch, they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come right down our branch, come out and go back down the Walden branch.
Yeah.
One night I couldn't find them, and there's two prongs. There's a
Yeah.
right prong and a left prong, and I'd come down one prong, and they wasn't there, and it was getting late, so I come on down and went back down the road to where we lived, where I told you we used to live right across from Appalachia. Yeah. And next morning I started up the road, and I met my cows coming down the road.
They's coming home.
Yeah.
Coming home.
But I wasn't afraid. I'd get out and go up through there hunting my cows or whatever. I wasn't a bit afraid. Now, I'm scared for the children to be out anywhere.
I know. Such a different time.
It is, honey. It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. It really is. Yeah. Well, what about when those days, like when you had the big garden, did your mother did she have canning jars, or did she use crocks like and ferment stuff, pickle stuff, or dry stuff, or everything? She probably did it all.
You could dry apples, and sometimes she strung green beans and take a needle and thread. Did you ever do that?
Leather breeches.
Leather breeches, yeah. Had
yeah.
leather breeches,
Yeah.
Lots, and canned anything you could.
Pick
Pick
your hands
blackberries,
on.
Lord, go out and hunt and pick blackberries, can now. Have blackberry pie, blackberry mush. Did you ever eat blackberry mush?
No, so tell us about that. What's blackberry mush?
Mama she'd take a half-gallon can of blackberries, she'd pour it in a pot and get the bowl and put some sugar in it. And then she'd take cornmeal and stir in it, like blackberry mush.
Okay.
It was
just
good.
Flavored your cornmeal mush.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Different things like that, yeah. That's the way people had to live. You didn't run the store and buy all this stuff. Even after they got stores in Andrews, they had 2 or 3 stores,
Right.
Then back during, even like in the Second World War, you couldn't hardly get lard and butter and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
You had a hard time, yeah.
Yeah.